Technology fund.
Yes, technology is great. Okay, so on the meeting are David Holmes, me, Lynn Granger, Ron Cundiff, Sarah Odell, John Evans, Carolyn, and Sally, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And we have not heard from Ward Wilson, is that correct?
He said he was tentative.
I'm sorry, he said he was,
Tentative.
right, okay. So everyone, tell me how things are going.
Staying healthy at home.
Okay. And Mayor?
Linda, I live on Montero, and I come down the hill past the park frequently, and the park is busy.
Very.
Yes, and here's an issue I'd like to raise, maybe with Ron. We live on Wayanoke Court, which backs up to the park. And a couple of times within the last 2 weeks, we've seen people coming up through the woods out people's property, exiting out people's driveways. Mostly, I think it's young people who live in the neighborhood and they're just cutting back, out of the park to go back home. But I'm wondering if we can put up some more signage.
Yeah, sure. Oh, excuse me. Sure. Yeah, that's not a problem at all. Hey, Errol.
In that part of the trail, because I think, there's plenty of signage now back in the Star Point area, but yeah, we're seeing people come up through our court.
We just put 1 or 2 new ones up back there about 3 weeks ago to address the residents' concerns. So yeah, I'll order some more. We'll put them up further along the trail. So.
Right. Thank you.
Sarah, you and family are fine?
Oh yeah, doing good. Trying to entertain a 4-year-old constantly.
My Chicago son has a 4-year-old, so I know what you're going through.
Oh yeah.
Carol, you and your daughters and your wife are good?
We're all doing good. We've gone down to the parks quite a few times. I think you've seen most of the pictures of the girls pulling garlic mustard, and I repaired a sign down there when I was down there. And Ron's done a really good job. He beat me at cutting up a tree, so it's all good.
Great. And okay, well, Sally, how are you doing?
I'm good. I was on the trail yesterday, took my trash bag with me and picked up quite a bit of trash, and been seeing more around the parking lot. As you know, that's one of my pet peeves is trash, but it hasn't been quite as bad lately, and I will say that it's been really good around the kayak ramp. So I think whatever message got out to the kayakers seems to be working.
Well, that I had the guys start pulling up down there, so.
Yeah, that I'm sure that helps. And Lynn, how are you doing?
We are doing fine. Our house now looks better than it's ever looked in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I know how that happens. And David, things good with you? I hope so. Well, why don't we go ahead with the agenda? The first order of business is the approval of the February meeting minutes. That seems like a really long time ago. Does anyone have any corrections or additions?
They look fine to me.
Okay, hearing none, we will say they are approved as written. So I've got a couple of things for parks update, and Ron may have more as well. The first item on the agenda is invasive removals. Jacqueline McGrail brought it to my attention that there is quite a lot of poison hemlock growing along the Orange Trail, and it indeed is poisonous. And she's concerned that if, especially with the additional usage of the park, if someone um, decided to eat the lovely white flowers or do something with the leaves, I understand even if you come in contact with your skin, it can cause a rash. So she has asked me to try to identify some people that would be willing to help eradicate it. Now, unfortunately, number one, it's poisonous. Number two, to eradicate it, she says the best practice is to cut off the flowering stalk and bag it, and then spray the remaining foliage with an herbicide. So obviously, this is not something that Harold's daughters can do. So I think she felt that if we got 3 or 4 volunteers, we could probably do it in 2 to 3 hours. And it itself is spaced out enough that we could have 2 or 3 people working at the same time and still maintain distance. I hiked all of the trails today, and where it's located is along the Orange Trail, both on the woodland side and on the river side, between the parking lot and the first hill, the first swing, I'd say. And then down at sort of the end of the Orange Trail, where the last bench across from the waterfall, where we got the signs up telling people not to cross the creek, there's quite a bit there. It doesn't appear to grow anyplace else in the park. It's just along the Orange Trail.
Does it have a bell-shaped flower?
It's got a really high, in fact, I took a picture of it this morning and I can send that out. It's got a really tall flower stalk with lots of little white flowers on them. I don't think they're really bell-shaped.
Okay, because right off the parking lot down there, there's quite a few things blooming, and I was admiring them yesterday, so I'm hoping that's not one of the ones I was admiring.
Those are actually wildflowers, native wildflowers that we've had planted there. So
okay, great.
So they're Margaret Shea from Drop Seed Nursery planted those 3 or 4 years ago. So no, it's farther down the trail. And they're really tall. Some of them are 3 or 4 feet tall. So it's going to be a job. And so if anyone's interested, and I may call for right now. Oh, thank you, Ron.
Oh.
I may call some of our reliable people that have worked with us with chemicals before and see if I can figure out a time and place.
Do we have any time frame we're looking at?
Well, I think we probably need to do it in the next couple of weeks just because it's in bloom. It hasn't started to set seed yet as far as I can see. But I haven't, Jacqueline said that her days are pretty free. And the good news is none of it is in an area that's a steep slope or really hard to access. It's just going to take some work. And everyone's going to have gloves and carry loppers, and then we'll have to have some herbicide spray bottles and that sort of thing.
I can volunteer this Thursday, but next week I'm on vacation, so.
Lucky you.
And preferably early in the morning.
Yeah, before it gets hot. Well, I will. Yeah. So you're saying tomorrow? Wait a minute. What date? Today is Wednesday, right? So you're saying tomorrow to do it?
Yeah. And I could be down there as early as 8.
Let me check. I'll get back to you after the meeting.
Okay.
After I get a chance to talk to Jacqueline, we have to make sure we've got the equipment that we need.
Okay.
And then we've had some volunteers that have done some trail maintenance, which is great. I know there's another tree down at the very end of the green trail, unfortunately, furthest away. It was pretty easy to step over, but it's down. I noticed that this morning. Um, and we're hoping to get some of the work done on the Orange Trail soon. I don't know if you have any more to add on that, Ron.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand you, Laura.
Oh, the Orange Trail work. Do we have any?
I met with Grayson today, and he's hoping to start next week, weather permitting. It's all going to depend on the tropical storm system that's down in the Gulf now. Be about right. We're ready to start, and we'll get tropical rains. So
Yeah, 'cause it's nice and hard right now.
yeah, it's in great shape right now.
So I guess he's got other jobs before he can start.
Yeah, he said he's extremely busy right now, but like I said, he's planning on next week. So
Great. The other thing is the annual report to the Kentucky Heritage Land Conservation Fund. This is for Putney Pond and Woodlands. And I would like any comments, any of you have. One of the questions I need to answer is trying to estimate the number of visitors. And what I've always said in the past is it continues to be used and enjoyed, but we don't have a way to actually record how many people. I think I'll put in the report this year, mention that our usage is up because more people are home and looking for recreational things to do. But if anyone has any other comments about management or usage of the park or plans for next year, I don't think we have any major plans other than routine maintenance. But if you could forward that in the next month.
Do we have numbers from previous years?
No. We've never really tried to do it. I guess we could have sign-in sheets or something like that, but I think it's too hard.
really, the only thing I could think we could do is see if Jeff could set up the traffic monitor down there, and that we could count cars. But that would only give us vehicles and give us actual people.
And a lot of people do walk in from the neighborhood.
Mhm.
So
Right.
I've got friends in the landings that walk every day, and other people from Fox Harbor, of course.
Harold, you're not doing nothing. Stand down there and count
No problem at all.
them.
I mean, to me, it's too bad we don't have a baseline because I'd say, in my opinion, it's tripled this year.
Easily.
Yeah.
Well, we could say that in the report. We don't have numbers, but we know by anecdotal evidence that it's probably 2 to 3 times more popular this year.
Kayaking might be doubled.
Anything else on parks updates from anyone or concerns?
I know we talked before about the tree of Bethlehem, and it looks like it's still spreading over there in the Green Trail. We still have any plans for that?
Tree of Heaven.
Is that what it's called?
Okay.
Tree of Heaven. Well, I knew it was something religious. I just couldn't remember.
I was like, God, there's another one? Yeah, it's just a matter of getting to it. We've, the way things have been going at City Hall, we're running a little behind, so.
And Ron, am I correct that we can really tackle that pretty much any time? I guess it needs
I'm pretty confident we can knock it out in about a day using the what we call the Bushmaster, which is basically a weed eater with a steel blade on it. You have one person cutting and everybody else, a few people coming in behind and spraying the stops. So.
Okay.
It's just finding time to do it.
Well, is this something you feel you could use volunteers to do? I mean, if you want to plan it.
If we had somebody who was used to using the steel bladed weed eater.
You don't want volunteers cutting with a
Yeah, that's where I was going for. It's a bear. You got to hang on to it. Other than that,
Is
just
there a
about
better,
anybody could spray.
yeah. Ron, is there a better time of the year? The only reason I'm asking is I've seen so many lizards, so many frogs, so many snakes lately. Is there a time of the year that maybe we should think about doing this where there's not as many active animals that could get sprayed?
Personally, I like doing it in the fall when the trees are, when everything's coming down and going out into the root system, because we also poison the parent trees. And it seems like if you do it in the fall, I haven't done it this spring, but in the fall, it seems like it hits the whole root system and keeps it from doing its. If you girdle them or attack the tree, it sends up a self-preservation response where it literally shoots up thousands of shoots, trying to keep itself going. And it seems like in the fall if you do it in the fall, that takes the whole system out. I've had pretty good success doing it in the fall, but
Well, maybe we need to wait till then. I just wasn't sure.
it will be hot, grueling work during the summer. I tell you that.
Yeah.
Steve?
Well, I think if we wait till fall, and I don't have an objection to that, but we've said that for the last 2 or 3 years and we never get around to it.
Well, it's not going anywhere.
It's getting worse. There's more and more of it to cut. So, well, we'll leave it to you to
Hey, everybody, sorry late.
Hi, Stuart. Glad to have you join us.
Thanks.
The next on the agenda is scout update, and I don't know what the scouts are able to do these days, Lynn. You can let us know. But the one thing I did want to ask you about is get the 2 reimbursement requests in.
We have got, and I haven't done it yet. I have one because last year we had a project start in July, and we actually got materials and all secured for that in last year's budget prior to that. So I've got one to take care of. Where we are right now, scouting has been on hold since the middle of March, and we have not resumed our meetings as of yet. However, with the scout office is now open again. There are no summer camps being held this summer in Boy Scouting, and the trip that we had planned out to the Grand Tetons in Yellowstone is canceled. So what we have is a bunch of kids now eager to get Eagle projects done, and I have 5 different folks all looking for things to do. Just as we shut down, Amanda Dewey, who is part of Troop 30 GS, her 2 brothers did significant portions of boardwalks for us for their Eagle projects. She wants to build a kiosk. We also have Natalie Young, who's also part Troop 30 GS. She wants to do the picnic tables. I've got 3 more scouts after that looking for things to do. Now, at present, on the 15th, we will follow the mode going where we can meet in groups of 10. That's not enough for a scout troop to meet, but it is enough for a person to go work on an Eagle project. So if Natalie wants to build picnic tables at home with 4 or 5 helpers, that falls into the 10. We're a go for that. We're also a go for starting to work on the kiosk too. So right now, like I said, any ideas you guys can think of, anything else we need to do in the park, I've got at least 3 more kids looking for Eagle Scout projects.
Hey,
What's happening to a lot of these kids right now is they're either seniors right now, or they'll be leaving to go to college in the fall, and they've been given an extension to make the cutoff for Eagle because of the virus emergency, but it doesn't mean they're still going in the fall. And so they're anxious right now to try to catch up and get some things done, and we're looking for Eagle Scout projects.
Lynn, I've got a few ideas. There's a section of the Blue Trail that I've tried a couple different ways to make not muddy. And it's that section that is about halfway through where you get near the Palisades and you get to right before you get to the cut through down to the Orange Trail. And I think the only way to fix it is with gravel. And the idea I came up with for it to be possible for that location would be to have, get somebody who's got a pickup truck that can do it. Or if we can get Ron to use his truck or use the Gator and bring bags of gravel and drop them off on the Orange Trail. And then I've researched some back out wilderness gurneys. It's basically fabric, but it's made to carry a person if you're in the outback. And what you could do is these bags are 25 pounds. So with smaller scouts, they can each grab one end, put a bag of gravel on it, and carry it to the destination. If you get some older people, adults, they could probably carry two and do it that way. And, with all it just takes is time and numbers, and you can move as much gravel as you needed. I mean, the total distance isn't that far. You just at the very beginning, you have to go up a little hill, which I think would preclude using a wheelbarrow.
Estimate how long's the distance to roughly? Just an idea.
I think the distance from where you could drop the gravel to where you would start putting it is about 25 yards. And I think it goes about another 50 yards, the total distance, and I can go back and measure it, that we'd want to lay the gravel. So it's not a great distance once you drop the bags of gravel off on the Orange Trail at that feeder trail to the Blue Trail.
When we did the section by Putney Pond last fall, those two projects, that was a total of about 300 feet. So it's about 150 feet each, which seems to be a comparable distance. Would there be any need to put wood in as far as put in a border or anything? Is it conducive to this?
Yeah, you would want to put it on the downhill side.
Okay.
On one side.
Let me do this. I've got a scout who's waiting for me to contact him tonight. And I will get in touch with him. I can get in touch with you. Maybe we can all meet sometime in the next week or two and go over there and take a look.
That sounds good.
I've got that down, okay? Still, after all of that, I'm still looking for two more.
Lynn, it's Harold Shue.
Hey, Lynn, I think it might be two projects, though, just because of the length, but we can measure it.
Okay. All right. That's good. Harold?
So I was going to bring this up in new business for the parks. I've gone with multiple Prospect residents and shown them the parks. And I always ask them at the end, how could the parks be better? I'm talking about the ones in Hunting Creek. And everyone says picnic tables. So 2 or 3 picnic tables maybe at the front, and then two or three down by the water at the end of the Blue Trail. I know during flooding times we'd probably have to go down there and pick them up and bring them up to the shore, closer to the parking lot, whatever. But I think that's definitely doable. So if you do have somebody that wants to build a couple,
we've done those before and can gladly do them. We've also done them like the little section over there right next to Putney Pond, where we put the gravel in and all of that and boarded that. We can do those too, and those for scouts work very well.
Absolutely.
I'm going to chime in here. We will not be putting anything in the flood zone. If a flash flood happens on the weekend, we lose the table or we have to chase it down. I'm dead set against that.
But could we put some right near the parking lot? Would that be fine?
Possible. That's perfect. But down in the flood zone is out of the question.
Right. The only way you
near
can
the parking lot, how many would 2 or 3 work?
Yeah, we could fit 3. They're between the stream and the end of the parking lot. We could fit 3 in there easy.
Now, Ron, help my memory a bit, because we had talked, I think, back prior to March. Wasn't there another area that we wanted to put picnic tables, or is this the same spot?
I think it's the same spot we talked about.
Okay. All right.
We could also use one out in Little Hunting Creek. The one that got washed down the stream a few years back finally disintegrated. So
I think that was the one that got talked about before, Lynn.
Yeah, that was, yes. I know. Yep. Okay.
So,
I've got a couple to get going. I'll get those kids up to speed.
So if we had more picnic tables, wouldn't we also need more trash bins, in the vicinity?
it's not a bad idea. I actually have some downstairs that we could put in. We've already got those. So
I was going to comment on that because the garbage is getting a lot of use and the garbage seems to be not adequate to handle all of it.
Now that we're picking it up, we're picking it up twice a week. It's sad. Now that we're putting it up, picking it up twice a week, it seems like it's under control. But yeah, it would not hurt to have a few more cans.
Ron, the other thing I wanted to mention is that I had my grandchildren eating at the picnic tables by Putney Pond. And did that trash can get washed away or something? There used to be a trash can by the picnic table.
We need to put in one of the metal ones like down there. The kids in the neighborhood kept throwing it into the lake, and finally I'd had enough of it.
Okay. We packed our trash out.
And we appreciate that.
Hey, Ron, on those, do you want to, I've seen places where like someone drives a post in the ground and cements it, and then you have a chain or something going to a trash can. Do you want us to look at maybe we could put the post, you supply the can?
Yeah, actually, if you'll get with me, I will show you the type of can we had. That would be great.
We can make it all part of it.
They
Okay.
unfortunately on the last one, with the big gray plastic can we had down there, they actually cut the handles off of it so they could throw it in the lake.
Oh.
So we'll have to secure them a little bit better. But yeah, a pole's a great idea.
Okay.
The biggest problem with the Putney Pond right there by the picnic tables is when we found out when we went to secure the picnic tables, there's a concrete slab under that.
Is there?
Yeah, about 4 inches down. We probed around, and that's why one table's chained to the other, because we couldn't dig down.
Ron, would you be okay with putting 2 or 3 picnic tables at the end of the orange trail where the blue trail kind of meets it? Not necessarily down by the water, but at the end of the orange trail. That's where a lot of people kind of go down to.
Or anywhere. Well, there's 2 problems with that. One, that's still the floodway. There's nowhere down at the end of the orange trail that does not flood. And 2, then we have to start packing garbage out, which means the guys, every time they do a trash run, have to run all the way to the end of the orange trail to pick up garbage. And right now, we're not seeing enough garbage in the park to make that a problem or a necessity. So I'd rather not encourage it.
Okay, anything else on Scout?
That's enough to keep me busy for a while, Linda.
Yeah, okay. And just if you can make sure you get that reimbursement request into.
I will. I'll get that done this weekend. My apologies.
Yeah, because and I think send it to Ron, Laura. Send the Scout reimbursement request to Laura.
Yeah.
And Linda, I'll copy you as well.
Perfect. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the park brochure. Sarah's been working with Ron a little bit to update, and I'm not sure what you would like to say about that, Sarah and Ron.
Ron, do you want me to just go over kind of the stuff that we were trying to include, or do you, since I know there's a technical side to this, I don't know if you want to, it's up to you, whatever.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so
chime in first, and it looks really good.
Yeah, so the idea was to take Ron's brochures that he had and just update them from when he had made them, not to alter any of the signs that he already has made inside the parks, the sort of the "you are here" stuff, but just a bit more quick glance, user friendly, and hopefully maybe printer friendly, but that we'll have to get back to in terms of making it.
We'll have to work around with them for the.
Yeah. So mainly the things I have that we didn't send them out to you all as a file because we just wanted to make sure Ron had a chance before it got sent to everybody to figure out, since that was his baby originally, kind of what his thoughts are and kind of what he wants to add. But it highlights a little bit more in detail of exactly there's an overview map of where the parks are in all of Prospect. So just so you don't have to kind of go to Google and go, okay, where exactly are these things? Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, the formatting's a little bit off, but it's got it. So in general, it has local people's pictures that I got permission to use from them. So people who actually took pictures in the park, and then it highlights where to actually put your vehicle, where you can park your bike, where you can walk into the parks, that there are no bathrooms in the parks. It highlights those. What kinds of trails, are they sunny or shaded? And then the fact that the trash can situation is very limited. So it kind of points out, hey, there's trash here. It goes a little bit more in depth in the Harrods Creek part with the canoe launch, and like, hey, the Orange Trail is sunny and there's these benches and the swinging benches, and the Brew Trail has a swinging bench and those kind of things. But it does go over Putney Pond and all the parks have their own little, section, just the same way Ron's had. And then it still opens up like Ron's old one does, but the maps, you probably have to double click on me to be able to even see that much, but kind of a bit more quick reference. This is just for you to be able to see it, but it would have things. I know Harold, you and Ron are still working on, or potentially in the future, those evacuation points for Harrods Creek Park. So if that's still something,
Yes.
so I have a little icon for it, but that would be like a quick reference. Hey, if you need help or whatever. And then I was trying to think before Ron jumps in, if anybody had anything that they've seen with the mass influx of people using the parks. I know, Harold, you mentioned like ideas for the picnic tables, but kind of like the already sort of, man, if people knew that this existed, or if people knew, gosh, that's a bike rack, or park over here, or, stop knocking on the maintenance building. That's not a bathroom, but that's in there. But, if you all notice something that you're like, this would be something to include, then throw that out there so we can get that in there. I don't know if anybody knows of anything offhand. Well, then I'll turn it over to Ron to kind of, if you had any kind of follow-ups. I know there's some technical, I made it on a Mac, so we're having some interfacing.
Actually, I've just got to figure out how to mesh your program with mine, and I think I've got that figured out. I think I can take everything out of Word and put it into InDesign.
Okay, I've got all the original like little picture files.
I was hoping, since they're both Apple,
Yeah,
yeah, because Adobe's basically Apple.
Is it? Like, oh, I thought that was I don't know. Wait,
Mac. It's basically Mac, and I was like hoping that they just like mesh, but no such luck.
I know you can put the PDF in InDesign, but I don't know if then you could edit it. And I know that would be the problem then. It would be a shame to have a brochure that's not editable. So I have all the original file, like we can work on that at some other time, but I have the original, the little sections. So you let me know or whatever, but that kind of, there's a visual depiction. It kind of gives you an idea of sunny, shaded, all the standard rules on the back page, just a little more.
Good. Sounds like you've made a lot of progress.
Linda, I've always liked the quote, take only pictures, leave only footprints. I think, if that can be included as an ethic for use of the parks. And I think of that because during the wildflower season, I'll occasionally see little girls with their parents holding a flower that they've picked. And I would hate to think, with the increased use of our parks, that, people are going to be picking the wildflowers. And that's just an environmental ethic that I've always appreciated. Take only pictures, leave only footprints. So if there's a way to work that into the brochure, I think that would be great.
That's perfect. Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Sarah, one other thing, and this is, I mean, hopefully we won't do this for long, but maybe some ethics on hiking in the age of social distancing. So, most of the people we run into seem to know that somebody needs to step off to the side, but every now and then you get some people who are completely clueless about that. And so, again, I know hopefully we won't need it for longer than 6 or 9 months, but something to think about.
Yeah, I could always be added in there, even just as a, know that the trails are close, and when passing, someone may need to. So yeah, I'm sure there's a way to word that where it would be sustaining,
Right.
And I may have missed it, but the other thing, as was mentioned with Carolyn, people going off trail. I talked to Lynn about that earlier. I've started seeing that more where people are outside of the trails, and I don't know if we need more of an explanation as to why it's important to stay on the trails and not go off the trails, or how to word that.
Yeah, Sally, that's a good point. It's in a couple spots. It was, I think in the original brochure, it was listed as kind of the park rules, and I think I added it in 2 other spots in kind of this new version please remember that all trails are surrounded by private property, and we kindly request that you respect our neighbors and remain on the marked trails. But you're right, there's not an explanation in tandem with that. Let me take a peek and see, because you're right, maybe people will be more apt. You'd hope that they'd follow it because it says, hey, if it's private property, and kind of stay, but obviously that is not necessarily always the case. Yeah, let me think about some wording for that, Sally.
Yeah, I've noticed that we're seeing with the increased fishing pressure, we're seeing more and more trails going down to the water popping up along the Orange Trail.
Yeah, I guess people are getting very familiar with probably, hey, I like to go to this spot, and you start to explore it a little more.
Yeah, I think you could mention the erosion issue that, that has an impact on the trails and the increase in erosion when you go off trail.
And destruction of the plant life. There's a reason we've got these wonderful wildflowers. Well, if you start tramping through the wildflower patch, then that's going to impact that as well. So I think it is, just to protect the wildlife and protect the trails from erosion.
Okay.
Hey, Ron,
Yes, sir.
did you see my and Peggy's handiwork where we blocked that illegal stream crossing where people were taking the shortcut?
I did.
No, I haven't been on that. You talk about on the Blue Trail?
Yeah, on the Blue Trail where you have to go down to cross the bridge and come back, and they were just crossing. Peggy and I, we did a really good job blocking that, so I think it's going to hold up for at least until the wood all rots away.
Okay, anything
Start
else?
planting blackberry bushes.
Anything else on the parks brochure?
No.
I think we need to think about the next meeting time and day. I'm assuming we're still going to be meeting virtually next month. If we feel we need a meeting next month, I guess that's the first question. Should we try to meet monthly, or?
I think it's a good idea.
So does this time and day of the week work for most people, or is there another? We need to keep it consistent with the hours of City Hall, because Ron's our technology master here.
This time works for me in this day.
I'm good.
Works for me.
So I guess, well, that might be 4th of July time. Calendar up here. Where's my handy my prospect calendar? Okay, so I guess that would be either July 1st or the 8th.
Hey,
I'm out on the 1st. I'm out the whole first week of July.
Okay. Would the 8th work, or is that too soon after?
The 8th is fine and dandy.
works for me.
All right.
Works for me.
All right.
3 o'clock.
At 3 o'clock. Okay. All right. And now I guess I'd open it to other business or new business. I don't know if you had something else, Harold. That's what you mentioned before. Anyone
I
else?
think it was just all about the picnic tables.
I have to jump off. And I do have one thing to bring up. Hey, Ron, this is for you. A lot of those signs that I put in at the same time that are, Blue Trail, green trail, orange trail that were on the wooden posts. Those wooden posts are all rotting away and they're falling down. And so there's like one of the blue trail signs is right after you kind of pass where the first bench is or the first swing. It's just leaning against a tree, and all the other ones are rotten. And one of them fell down and somebody took it. But anyway,
We're going to start replacing those with metal posts. They're not as attractive as the 4x4s, but they're more durable.
yes, I concur. I concur. And I just didn't want that one to walk away because the other one did. Maybe you guys grabbed it and took it back, but one of
We do
them,
have it downstairs.
yeah,
I
one
know
of
we
them.
have one Blue Trail sign downstairs. So
All right.
One other thing that I noticed when I, for the first time, hiked Putney Pond and Woodland trails, and my husband said, why do you have all those temporary signs? They're the ones that Stuart put up that says scenic loop, and I know we've got the mileage markers, but there were some signs that you made, Stuart, that say scenic loop or have an arrow pointing to Putney Pond. Do we need those? Should we take them out? Should we replace them?
We already had a meeting with Sarah, and Ron and I walked the entire park, and Ron was going to come up with a list and get the signs made. So I don't know.
we ran out of money. So it'll have to be in the next budget year.
Okay.
I gotta go, guys.
Thanks, Stuart.
All right. Sorry.
So does anyone have anything else to discuss, or are we ready to adjourn?
I'm good.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thanks, Linda.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Linda.
I want to thank Ron for setting us up.
Thank you, Ron.
Denata.
Thanks, Linda.
Yeah, thank you
You're
both.
welcome. Okay.
Take care, everybody. See you.
All right, bye.
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 Make sure everybody gets out okay.
Gather we're adjourned.
We are adjourned.
How do you get off? How do you?
Press the red dot that says X.
Red dot?
At the
I don't
bottom.
see
There's
it.
a whole bunch of circles.
No. I have no red dots.
Okay, you're gonna have to stay here forever.
Oh no, you're stuck in your computer. When you move your mouse, you have one. There should be 1, 2, 3,
Well, I don't have
like
a
8
mouse.
buttons that pop up.
I mean, I'm on my iPad.
Well, I mean, if you are touch your screen,
Yeah, I am.
okay, and there's nothing popping up.
No.
Let me try to end the meeting, and we'll try it that way. Of course, I won't know if you're still there or not.